Part 25.3. Surah Al-Furqan, the Criterion, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Sufi Essence with Hammad Syed. We continue our deep immersion into the divine revelations of Surah Al-Furqan, the Criterion. In the verses we have just traversed, Allah firmly established his sole sovereignty and eloquently dismantled the Makkans' objections to the Prophet Muhammad's peace be upon him, humanity, and the divine source of the Quran. Now, as we approach verses 11 through 15, the narrative takes a dramatic and solemn turn. The discourse moves from the present-day rejection of the truth to the inevitable, terrifying consequence of that denial in the hereafter. The focus shifts to the confrontation of those disbelievers with the reality of the Day of Judgment, particularly their meeting with the Hellfire, which they had so casually dismissed and mocked. This shift in perspective, moving instantaneously from the worldly arguments of the past to the unalterable fate of the future, is a hallmark of the Quran's powerful style, designed to shock the heedless into profound reflection and spiritual urgency. The intensity of the message heightens here. The Makkans not only rejected the Prophet, peace be upon him, but actively mocked the concept of the hour and the reality of the punishment. They demanded signs, yet the greatest sign of all, the impending reality of eternal reckoning, was utterly ignored. These verses depict that terrifying reality with vivid, palpable detail, making the abstract concept of Jahannam hell immediate and frighteningly real. The listener is transported to that moment of inescapable dread, witnessing the despair of those who, in their worldly arrogance, sealed their own fate. This vivid portrayal serves a crucial purpose. It is a final, urgent warning, framed by Allah's infinite compassion, urging humanity to use the Criterion now, before the opportunity for choice is extinguished forever. The ultimate reward, paradise, is then presented as the magnificent counterbalancing end goal, highlighting the vast chasm between the two ultimate destinies. A handsome British Muslim, wearing black cap in the foreground, integrated into this scene. Let us now absorb the weight and profundity of these next verses. Kanzul Iman, Quran, Al-Furqan, the Criterion. 25 minutes and 11 seconds, verse 11. But they deny the hour, and we have prepared the blazing fire for those who deny the hour. The 11th verse acts as a stark dramatic transition, summarizing the core spiritual disease of the Makkans and stating the definite consequence. But they deny the hour, and we have prepared the blazing fire for those who deny the hour. Despite all the proofs, the majestic guidance, and the compelling arguments of the Quran, their ultimate failure lay in their rejection of the Day of Judgment, the hour Asa. This denial is the root of all heedlessness, for if there is no ultimate reckoning, there is no need for moral accountability or submission to divine law. Their worldly arrogance made them dismissive of the future, focusing only on the transient present. Allah's response is definitive and absolute. We have prepared the blazing fire for those who deny the hour. The use of "we have prepared" Atadna signifies a preordained, certain, and meticulous readiness. The blazing fire Sair is not a sudden, accidental punishment, but a fate meticulously set for those whose deliberate denial of the truth seals their destiny. This single verse cuts through all the earlier intellectual debates and materialistic demands, placing the entire struggle on its most important pivot: belief in the hereafter. If one denies the ultimate reality, one must inevitably face the ultimate consequence. This statement is a powerful reminder that spiritual choices have eternal repercussions. Kanzul Iman, Quran, Al-Furqan, the Criterion. 25 minutes and 12 seconds, verse 12. When it sees them from a far-off place, they will hear its fierce raging and roaring. The dramatic intensity escalates in the 12th verse, presenting an overwhelming sensory detail of the approaching punishment. When it sees them from a far-off place, they will hear its fierce raging and roaring. The Hellfire is personified here. It is described as an active entity that sees them radam, even from a distance. This personification magnifies the terror, suggesting a conscious, terrifying anticipation. Before they even reach the fire, the inhabitants of hell are struck by its auditory terror. Fierce raging and roaring, Tegeyasu Wasafira. Tegeyus implies intense fury and boiling indignation, while Zayafir is a loud, terrifying, wheezing roar. The terrifying implication is that the fire is hungry and furious, not merely a static place of heat, but a dynamic, living embodiment of divine wrath against transgression. The sound alone heard from a far-off place, sufficient to induce unimaginable fear, beginning the punishment before the descent even occurs. This vivid imagery is intended to pierce the veil of worldly indifference, making the consequences of denial visceral and unforgettable for the listener. Kanzul-Aman, Quran, Al-Furqan, the Criterion, 25-13, verse 13. And when they are flung into a confined place within it, tied with chains, they will call out there for destruction. The terror culminates in the 13th verse with a description of their physical predicament and utter despair. And when they are flung into a confined place within it, tied with chains, they will call out there for destruction. The action of being flung yuklu implies a violent, humiliating, and irreversible throwing, not a gentle entry. They are constrained into a confined place maidakan, meaning a narrow, constricted space where the suffering is maximized by the lack of movement and air. Their hands and feet are tied with chains makaranan, preventing any escape or relief. In this moment of ultimate, inescapable constriction and agony, their final, desperate cry is heard. They will call out there for destruction, da hunalika thuboran. They don't call for mercy or relief from the fire. They call for complete destruction, thubor, for annihilation, wishing to simply cease to exist, to end the torment. This is the profound expression of ultimate despair, a state where the suffering is so overwhelming that non-existence becomes preferable to the continued reality of existence. The verse serves as a devastating portrait of the consequence of spiritual arrogance, descent from the worldly mockers to the eternal despair of the oppressed. Kanzul-Aman, Quran, Al-Furqan, the Criterion. 25 minutes and 14 seconds, verse 14. Do not call out for one destruction today, but call out for many destructions. The 14th verse is a divine, authoritative, and terrifying response to their desperate plea. Do not call out for one destruction today, but call out for many destructions. This statement is the ultimate rejection of their final wish for annihilation. It is a profound irony they are told not to limit their despair to a single act of destruction, but to call for many, because their punishment will be manifold and continuous. Their torment will be so multifaceted, so extensive, and so unending that one instance of oblivion would be insufficient to cover it. The rhetorical force of this command is immense. It underscores the severity and perpetuity of the suffering. It shatters any final hope of relief, confirming that their fate is not a singular event, but a continuous state of manifold agony, a spiritual and physical destruction that is perpetually renewed. This statement seals the finality of their choice, demonstrating that the casual denial of the hour on earth leads to an eternally heightened experience of its reality in the hereafter. Kanzul-Aman, Quran, Al-Furqan, the Criterion, 25-15. Verse 15 say, is this better? Or the garden of eternity which the God-fearing had been promised, which is their recompense and a destination? The final verse of this segment dramatically shifts from the imagery of hell to the immense, glorious reward of paradise, completing the structure of the Criterion Al-Furqan. The Prophet, peace be upon him, is commanded to ask a profound rhetorical question. Say, is this better? Or the garden of eternity which the God-fearing have been promised, which is their recompense and a destination? The horrifying reality of the fire is now placed in direct contrast with the magnificent promise of the garden of eternity, Jannatul Khuld. This is the ultimate use of the Criterion. The listener is forced to make the choice, to weigh the horror of the preceding verses against the beauty and serenity of Jannah. Paradise is described not just as a reward, but as a promise to the God-fearing Al-Muttaqeen. Those who use the Criterion on earth by guarding themselves against sin, it is defined as their recompense, Jazan, a perfect payment for their faith and good deeds on their ultimate destination, Masira, the final, restful, and eternal place of return. This beautiful contrast serves to inspire the believers, providing a powerful, magnificent vision of hope and confirming that the guidance they follow leads to a destination infinitely superior to anything the worldly Makkans pursued. These verses powerfully contrast the fate of the deniers of the hour with the reward of the God-fearing in paradise. The following hadith beautifully illustrates the unimaginable and eternal nature of that reward for those who uphold piety. Hadith. Narrated Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, the Prophet, peace be upon him. Allah said, I have prepared for my righteous servants what no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human heart has conceived. Sahih al-Bukhari, Hadith number 3244. This profoundly beautiful Hadith perfectly complements the description of the Garden of Eternity in verse 15. The Prophet, peace be upon him, quotes, Allah is affirming that the reward for the righteous servants is beyond the scope of human imagination. It is a reward that transcends all worldly experience. Being something that no eye has seen, what no ear has heard, and what no human heart has conceived, this emphasizes the unique and magnificent nature of Jannatul Khuld. It assures the believers that the eternal recompense is not merely an improvement on worldly pleasures, but a completely new, indescribably glorious reality, making the fleeting demands and slanders of the oppressors utterly inconsequential in comparison to the immense spiritual treasures reserved for the God-fearing Al-Muttaqeen. This promise serves as the ultimate motivation to follow the Criterion with unwavering devotion. Let us now supplicate, drawing from the profound lessons of these verses, asking Allah to grant us a deeper understanding and to guide our every step. Dua, O Allah, Ar-Rahman, and Ar-Rahim, by your boundless mercy. Grant us the light of Al-Furqan to live in constant awareness of the hour. Shield our hearts from the denial that leads to the blazing fury of your fire. Protect us from the anguish of being confined and chained, and save us from the despair of calling out for destruction. Make us among the God-fearing who have been promised the Garden of Eternity, where eyes shall see what no eye has ever seen, and where our recompense shall be your eternal pleasure. Grant us the unwavering steadfastness to walk the path of the Muttaqeen, making our final destination a magnificent return to your presence. May Allah illuminate your heart and mind with the light of this divine ill. May He make your channel a beacon of guidance for all who seek spiritual clarity and truth. May your efforts be a source of immense reward, and may you be granted the highest stations of paradise. May the peace and blessings of Allah always be upon you and your loved ones. May He grant you unwavering steadfastness on the path of truth, and may your work be a testament to His magnificent names, Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. Amin.